All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to How to Master SQL DBA with TK. And as you already know, I'm TK himself. As you can see on our screen, this is our YouTube channel where we post all our videos about SQL. Please check it out if you are new to this channel. All right, let's get down to business. I'm very excited today. So, when we stopped during our last project or our last class, we had configured our, I believe, configuration manager. So, I did show you how to use it and how to navigate through, and we did some few tweakings on it. So today we are going to be talking or creating jobs. To be more precise, we are going to create a backup job and an index job on the servers that we created, right? So that is something that as a DBA you would do more often than not. All right. So without talking too much, let's hop on our virtual machines. So if I go to my Hyper-V, as usual, I check, make sure they are running. As you can see, they're in a running state. And if yours is not running, you know what to do, right? You just right click and connect, and you put in the password and username that we created way back. All right. So since mine is running, all I have to do is come down here to the drop, and then I have to go to my SQL 01. Okay, because that's where we are going to be doing most of the work, right? Okay, let's go on SQL 01. Once we are on SQL 01, remember, SQL 01 is the name of the server, right? And then we need to go to the SQL instance, right? I know I've been talking about this a lot. There's a difference between a server and an instance. I know I have the bad habit of mixing those two, calling a server and instance like just interchangeable. But remember, the server name is HDC SQL 01. Then the SQL instance, which is host on the SSMS, is called the same because it's a default instance. If I click right here and I open this up, you'll see that this SQL instance is called the same, so that's why sometimes SQL DB is kind of interchanged. Like they can say, oh, go to the SQL server when they really means the instance, right? But those two have two different functions because the server, there are things you can do on a server that you cannot do on the instance. All right, with that being said, let's go on the SQL instance. Obviously, I click my Set SQL Server Management Studio. This pops up. Then now we connect. And remember, you should click on your trust server certificate. So we connect. Now we are inside. Last time, before we create jobs or before we start creating jobs, there's a few things I need to talk about which I forgot to mention last time. Real quick, this is the server overview right here. When you look at it, right, this is the server overview. If I go to where it says databases, I click on the plus sign, and you see I have system databases and I have snapshot as I have database snapshot. If I click on that plus sign, it drops down to the system databases. So what it means is like this is the databases that came when I installed this instance, the name system, right? So they came with it. Most at times we are going to be working with the users databases. We don't have one yet because we haven't created any. So user databases are the ones that we create. They're the ones that we manage all the time, right? When we create a database, it becomes a user database. Those are the ones that we put our rows, our tables, our columns, where we have everything that we manage, right? But these system databases are very important because without them, we cannot create those user databases. We're going to talk more about this, like the master, the model, the MSDB, and the TempDB, because this TempDB, you're going to use it a lot. If this TempDB is full, you have no space, you won't even be able to get on your server. It can crash your entire server, right? Your entire SQL instance. Let me be more precise about that. Okay, then if you when you say security, if you click the plus sign, That's where you have your logins, and and we're going to talk more about that. If we go to your server objects, that's where you can create like your link servers. And again, don't worry, we'll talk about that more. Then replication, obviously, you can create replication then. High availability, that is where we are going to create our high availability groups. Our AG groups always on. You see that? Then management, we're going to use that. That's where we are going to be creating our jobs, because there's a place there that is called maintenance plan. And also it has the SQL logs. We're going to talk about that because it's very important. Where if you want to troubleshoot any issues, you go to your SQL logs to check what is wrong. Or for example, if you have a failed login, if you have a failed job, something's going on, you can go and check them on your SQL logs. The agent, let's go to the agent. This one is very important because once you create jobs, all the jobs are going to be showing over under your agent. Then you have your job activity monitor, which you are going to use a lot to monitor your jobs. Okay, so that's like a brief and quick overview of of the outlook of this instance. Again, as time goes more, we are going to go deeper into it. But before that, let's do something real quick. I want you see where it says your server, your object explorer. If this pin right here that I'm showing you on the screen, if yours is looking to the left, pointing to the left, please just click on that pin. If I click on it, okay, I didn't want to do that. Okay, there you go. You see, let me pin it. Click on it. Now mine is pinned back, like showing down. Please do that because I want you to pin it so it doesn't move. Then once you do that, I want you to right click where it says like on the blue line, right click on it. Then open a new query window where it says new query. Once that query window opens up, I want you to do the same thing. The pin, if it's looking or pointing to the left, click on it. Now it's pointing down. It means you have pinned it, so it can't move anymore. Okay. Then another thing, in that query window, if you go on your keyboard, you just press enter multiple times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you press enter 6 times, you will see that there's a long yellow line just going down, nothing is showing. Now I want us to fix that. I want us to do something different. I want us to go to where it says tools. You see up there, follow my cursor. Then once you go to tools, you go to down where it says option. When you click on that option, this window opens up. When this window opens up, I want you to go to where it says text editor right there, just under project and solution. Click on text editors. Once you click on text editors, I want you now to go down to where it says transact SQL right there, just under plain text. So click on that. Once you click on that, click on general. Once you click on general, you move a little bit to your right and you click on where it says line numbers. Then you click OK. Once you click OK, you will see that now you have your line numbers. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is very important because whenever you run a script or T-SQL, if you have an error, if you have something wrong with that script, it's easier to point to a line number. Say, hey, go to, if it is an error with the script, it's always easy to point to a line number that, hey, go to line number 1, line number 2, and fix the error that is on that line. But when you don't have a line number, it makes it harder to know exactly where the error is coming from. So always make sure you have your line numbers on. It's very important. All right, now let's go to jobs, right? So let's go and do what we are here for today. So as I explained, you can always minimize this by just clicking on the plus sign. Let's minimize everything, minimize. Okay, so now for jobs, let's go under management right here. Let's click the plus sign and then let's go under maintenance plan right here, because that is where we are going to be creating the jobs for today. But also we can create jobs through using the agent, the SQL agent, but we are going to explain that another time. For today, we are going to use the maintenance plan. So if you click the maintenance plan, there's nothing under. There are no jobs, right? So how do you click those jobs? How do you create those jobs? You just right click. You go either use the wizard or you use the new maintenance plan. You are all going to create jobs. But for today, I like using the new maintenance plan, and I'll show you how you do that. If you click on that new maintenance plan, now this window opens up. Now you want to give your job a name. Remember, we said that we are going to create two jobs, a backup job and an index rebuild job. So let's start with the backup job. So we're going to do a full backup job. So just put full backup. And also your naming convention, right? When you're naming your job, make sure you are very clear, just in case another person, a developer, another DBA comes on the server, they know exactly what type of job is running, because you might name something that you know that, okay, this is what is running, but somebody else come on that server and they're looking, they're like, what kind of job is that? So always name the job in such a way that anybody looking at that server can understand that this is a T-log backup. This is the differential backup. This is a full backup. This is an index rebuild. This is an index reorganized. So always be precise when you are naming your job. So for example, we are doing a full backup. So we click OK. Once we click OK, now we have this new window that opens up that we need to create the jobs, right? What you want to do next is just to go all the way to your left where it says tools, like right there. Is that little thing in the corner? So click on that. You have this new box that opens up. You will see on top right here, it says backup, the backup database tags. If you click and you drag it, you see what I just did? I'm bringing it here. Now you can create your backup jobs with that. All you have to do next is double click. Okay, now once I double click, I'm in here, a new window opens up, and this is how I'm going to create my jobs, right? And we can leave it as this because we are on the local connection, so there's nothing for us to change. It's our local server. That is fine, so leave it at that. Then if you come here in this drop down, you have your full, your differential, and your transaction log, what I was talking about. So, but we want to do the full backup, so we're going to leave it at that. Now, the next thing we want to do is to go to this other drop down, click on it. Now, which database do we want to back up? This is what this is all about. Do we want to back up all the databases? Do we want to back up the system databases I told you about? Do we want to back up the user databases? Remember, I mentioned user databases, the ones that we created. Or do we want to back up these databases, right? Because we can specify which databases we want to back up. So it all depends on your environment, right? Because some environments have a mixture of a third-party backup and your native, because this is called a native backup, right? You may have a very large database that is being backed up by another method. So you select here which databases that you want to back up. Sometimes if you don't know, you can ask, or not, you can just click right here and select to back up all the databases. But if you have a very huge database that's been backed up by another third-party backup tool, then you have to select here, then skip that database, right, and select just the ones that you need. But for the purpose of this training, let's do all the databases. So we click OK. And also remember here, if a database is offline, click, because there's no point say ignore database where the state is offline, because it's offline for a reason. You know, you've set the database offline for a reason, right? So just ignore it. That's fine. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to do, you click on destination. Now, destination simply means where is the backup going, right? Where's the backup going? Remember, when we did our installation, this is where we want the backup to go. If you have a new drive, if you have a new location, you come over here and you can change it and point it to that new location. Just like when we did our installation, we pointed our drive to different locations. You can do it here. But for now, we are good, so we leave it here. And also, oh, no. Let me go back. Let me fix that. So it's not the B drive, B and SQL backup. That is correct. Okay, I fixed that. So also, this is the extension for a full backup, BAK. So .BAK is the extension for a full backup. And once we do a transaction logs, I'm going to tell you what the extension for a transaction log backup is TRN. So it's very important to know the extensions of your backups. Okay, now this is good. We go now to options. These are options, right? What do you want the backup to happen? What do you want to happen to the backup, right? Oh, number one, I always like to do compression, especially if it's a big backup, right? I want to compress it so it gets smaller. Then number two, I never click. I don't want my backup to expire, right? Unless otherwise it be instructed, let the backup not expire. Then number two, verify the integrity, very important. Then when I create a maintenance job, I never do a copy backup. So, but again, it depends on your environment. It depends on what you are doing. If you don't know, ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You just ask the right question to the right people. All right. So then I click OK. Now this backup has been created, but it's not ready yet. I need to set up a schedule. How often do I want that backup to run? How do I do that? I come over here in this little place that looks like a calendar right here. I click on that. Once I click on here, now a schedule opens up for me. How do I want to set it up? Number one, this has to be full. This has to be filled. It's already filled. That's fine. I want to make sure this is enabled. That is good. Now I want my backup to run every day, daily. So I switch from weekly to daily. Okay, and I want it to run once a day. So one time every day, of course, once a day, and then I want it to occur. Let's say always try. So I want it to occur. Let's say my work ends at 5 p.m. Right? Always try to get your backup after working hours. Number one, because you have fewer people in the system, fewer update, delete, just fewer processes going on. So you want to capture as much information as possible. So I would say daily around 9 p.m. Again, if you don't know, you can ask your manager, ask the right question. There's nothing wrong with that. So 9 p.m. But if they give you the leverage to choose, use your common sense and be like, okay, work by 5 p.m. the work day is over. By 9 p.m. we should be able to get our backup. So now, 9 p.m. is fine. Then it starts today and no end date, and that's it right there. You click OK. Now your backup is ready to run, right? So backup is ready to run. Something else I like to add to my backup plan is, if I go to this tool right here, is what is called maintenance cleanup. So I drag it, put it here. Then I click on this backup. See the green arrow? I bring it all the way down, and I touch that maintenance cleanup, and I click on that maintenance cleanup. This maintenance cleanup is simply saying that, hey, if my backup drive is full, clean it up for me. That is all that is saying, right? Because of space. Because remember, if you keep putting your backups in there and it continuously, there'll be a time that eventually it's gonna get so full that you will need to clean it up. So how do you do that? Number one, you have to go to the location where your backup resides. And remember, this is the location right here. So you have to go to the exact location and click. Now you have to put the file extension of which backup do you want to clean. So .bak. So you put the folder, file extension. Then lastly, now you have to put how often. So you can change this to days. You say, okay, what is saying that every 4 days, right? Any backup that is older than 4 days, go in there and clean it up. So create more space for me. That is all this is saying. And you click OK. And this is very important. You make sure you put the right location. If not, it's going to fail. It's not going to work. So click OK. And that's it. You are done with the whole. So your backup is going to run. Then it's going to do a cleanup job for you. Once you have this, you just right click over here, click on Save Items. And then you can now close from here. You can close. Once you close, and then you can come back under your maintenance plans. You can refresh. You can refresh. Once you refresh, if you click the plus sign, you will see you have a backup job right here. And if you go back to your SQL agent, you click on the plus sign, you click on jobs, you are going to see your jobs right there. We are going to do the same thing now for an index maintenance. So again, maintenance plan, we right click, we go to new maintenance plan. Then we want to rebuild an index. So just put index rebuild. So index index dash rebuild, just like that. Then you click OK. Now that you're here, the same thing, you go to that toolbox, you click on it, and you will see something about index review. You see that? Just under operation, notify operation tags right there. You drag it and you bring it right there. Now we're going to do the same thing. We just click and go inside. When we double click, now we have this right here. So we go to the drop down. Our local connection is good. So we go to the drop down. The same thing we just did. Which databases do we want to review our indexes? Are we having issues with all the databases or some of the databases, right? So right here, that is why you will decide if all your databases are fragmented. If they are, obviously you go. If you want to keep rebuilding, all the databases. If there's a specific database that you're having issue with, you come here, you can choose. Okay, I want to build it just on this database. All right. But for the sake of this class, let's just do everything. Then we click OK. Once we do that, right? Next thing that we want to do is right here. Very important, right? What it's saying is like fragmentation. To review, your fragmentation has to be 30% and the page count has to be 1,000 and above, right? That is the Microsoft default. That's what Microsoft is recommending. If you don't know, it's always just good to stick with the default, but you can adjust this. You can reduce or increase this based on, again, if you are in doubt, you can always ask a senior DBA. If you're not a senior DBA, you can ask your manager. But if you are a senior DBA, then you have to decide this. If you don't know what to do, you can always Google. You can Google, honestly, because if you're in an environment, you're doing stuff by yourself, you can always Google and ask, hey, Google, what is a good for me to rebuild, right? My fragmentation, like what is good and what's the page count for me to rebuild. So Google, and you'll be surprised by what you can find. So once you do that, and then you decide what is good for you, then you can just click. But if you don't know, you can always stick with the default right here. So you select your databases, you come down here, and that's it. You click on the default and you click OK. So this was very easy, very straightforward. Then you come here again to maintenance. You come to your maintenance right here. The little calendar, you click on it, opens up. Again, you have your index job, the name right here. And remember, if you don't see the name right here by default, you need to put it in because it won't let you move forward without a name right here. So then make sure it's enabled. Now, this is easy. We want to do our indexes weekly, once a week, when on a Sunday. And remember, sometimes these indexes jobs depend. It depends on how many database and how large a database is. So it takes a lot of time. Some can take hours to complete, right? So you really want to make sure that it's running at a time that you have almost nobody on that server, which usually is like early morning, like from 12 a.m. to like 3 in the morning. That is the best time to set up an index job. So for the purpose of this class, we're just going to assume that our database is okay to run at 12 a.m. right here. And also make sure that when you're running your index jobs, check the schedule of other jobs so they don't conflict, so they don't cause no blocking or deadlocks, right? Because if you have two jobs running too close to each other, then they can start having issues. Those are the little things that you have to put into perspective before you create your jobs. So for now, everything is good. So for example, okay, I'll give you an example. If you have a job running every hour, let's say you have a backup job running every hour, right? Which means that every 1 hour, like from 9, 10, 11, 12, obviously that backup job is going to run at 12 a.m. You know that for sure. So instead of putting your index job at 12 a.m., you can adjust that to be at 12:15 because you know that the backup job takes about 15 minutes to complete. So by 15 minutes, it's done, right? So you don't put your backup job at exactly 12 o'clock. You readjust it a little bit so that it doesn't conflict with that. Those are the little things you put into perspective. All right. When you do that, when all you have to do is you click OK. And now our index job is done. And you go right up here, right click, and you save it. Once you save it, then we have completed this project for today. So if you refresh, so you right click and you refresh this, now you have an index review job. And if you go under where it says jobs under your SQL Server agent, I click there and I refresh and I go back here. I have 2 jobs right here. You see? Yes, that was wonderful. We did it. So we are going to stop with this class for today here. So we have accomplished the mission for today. We have accomplished our project for today. So when we come back during our next project, we are going now to create our first user database. You see that? Yay! So I will show you how to create a user database. Then once we do that, our next project is going to be how to restore a user database. And these are things that we will do, and these are things that we are going to do every day or more often as SQL DBAs. All right, team, you have a wonderful day. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.